Food and Beverage Magazine Live, bringing food and beverage to life. With your hosts, James Beard Award winner Jennifer English and Food and Beverage Magazine publisher Michael Politz. Featuring leaders in the hospitality, branded food and beverage, and CPG industries, many of whom are Jennifer and Michael's friends in the business. For an informal and informative conversation where friends in the business share the latest intel, ideas, and best practices. Live, juicy inside scoop from the tastemakers, newsmakers, bread bakers, drink shakers, spoon lickers, clam diggers, farms, foodies, and friends of the food and beverage magazine world. Here are your hosts, Jennifer English and Michael Politz.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are going to go live today because it is a delicious day here at Food and Beverage Magazine. We're going to take you from our clubhouse room where we've got our Food and Beverage Magazine Clubhouse Tribe, some of the most interesting and influential tastemakers in the world joining us for conversations, and when the chance arises for all of us to be there together when they open up from the beta test to the launch. I can't wait for you to come and meet all of our friends and colleagues who each and every day join us, and we collaborate and we meet new friends. And one of the people that we met today, or recently I should say, not today, but this week, was an amazing chef who is working on what we think is one of the most beautiful food and inspiring, not just beautiful, but inspiring food blogs that we've found. Anjhanaa is going to be joining us in just a moment, and we're going to share her Instagram page with you because the images are stunning. And in those pictures, you can see the intention, the care, the legacy. There's so much to talk about because, as they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, her food pictures are worth 1,000 bites. We are joined live in the kitchen as one of the country's leading food bloggers is creating the recipes that will be on her Instagram page in the hours to come. This is as a la minute as you can get. Joining us now from her test kitchen is the incomparable Chef Anjhanaa, and she's going to take us through some of these images. Chef, welcome, and how lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much.
This food is stunning.
I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
So, as you can see, we've got your Instagram page pulled up. I was hoping that you would take us through which of these images would you like to focus on and tell us a little bit about which of these are your favorites.
I mean, I like them all, obviously, but I want to associate a little bit of sort of nostalgia. It's the samosa squares, which is the middle one on the second row. And so we've all had samosas. If you've had Indian food, it's delicious. But here I tried to, this is very commonly served in birthday parties. So growing up in India, my parents always celebrated my birthday. I mean, at least I had a party until I was about 11 years old. And I thought it wasn't so cool to have birthday parties anymore. And then with a heavy heart, they had to stop. However, every year my mom would cook from scratch everything. She'd make samosas, she'd make puri and chana masala. I'd have my friends over. And so every party had cake, samosa, some potato chips, and rasna, which is sort of like an orange beverage, which is it comes in a little box in India. I grew up, it has a lot of, you see that picture here? I tried to recreate it. So this was sort of my childhood birthday photo. Ironically, this picture was taken 2 days after I received my second dose of the COVID vaccine. So I was still a little bit under the weather after, because you have some side effects sometimes, but I didn't have the patience or the energy to make a full-blown samosa. So I decided to just make open-faced samosa squares, which were delicious without having to do as much work.
I have never seen that before. Can we go back, Jonathan, to the picture before? So, that looks like the most incredible. It's like a combination of a panisse, South France flatbread. It looks like a Neapolitan-style square pizza. It looks like a version of a flatbread. I have to tell you that is one of the most inspiring. And you're telling me that this is just something that this isn't the food you grew up on as a flat. You had samosas, but they were full samosas. And this is your interpretation.
Yeah, so you roll the dough out, you make the pie, you cut it into semicircles, you fill it, and then you fold it and you fry it. So it's a very detailed process. And to be honest, I've never made samosas before. My mom has. I've grown up eating them. I've bought them at stores, but I've never personally made them. Here, I took like a very easy shortcut method. I didn't even, as I said, I wasn't feeling too well, but I still wanted to recreate my childhood birthday. So I used ready-made crust. So I use I use like a crescent roll. I laid it out. I made the stuffing.
The kind that comes in the tube?
Yeah, literally use the Pillsbury crescent roll rolled.
Whoa. This is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So you just use the ready-made dough and it looks this stunning.
It was incredible. And then I made the stuffing. So I made the potato filling and I just laid it on the crescent roll and I baked it. It wasn't even fried, which was brilliant, about for 12 minutes at, I think, 375. I think that's what the box says. So it was a very, let me just throw this in the oven, and then we're going to eat makeshift samosas. And they were so, my friends just loved it. I also made my childhood birthday cake from scratch. My favorite used to be a pineapple cake, which is not like an upside down pineapple cake, which is very common here in the US.
Yeah.
But it's a vanilla sponge, which is sort of saturated with pineapple juice and layered with whipping cream and fresh pineapple. And I tried to make that too. I have it in, I think, a couple of posts below this. And I made like a whole, let me go back to a 9-year-old Anjhanaa self birthday party. And nothing has made me happier than this sort of creation.
I am so excited right now. I have goosebumps with everything that you're doing, and we're going to post the recipe as well.
Thank you.
This idea of making open-faced samosas with the crescent dough is the kind of thing that really should be blowing up the internet, and I can't believe I hadn't seen it before. We've got the filling. It looks amazing. Thank you for doing this for us. Let's get in the kitchen because we are with you as you're going through your process. And when we were talking this morning in our Clubhouse room on Food and Beverage Magazine on Clubhouse, you were talking about that you had already just made something. Can you show us first the finished version? And I know that when you were talking with us.
Here. So this is a Mexican fusion pasta dish that I sort of made. I don't know, you could call it a Mexican pasta or taco pasta, or, I mean, you can name it whatever you want.
So I see that you're using the rotelli noodles.
Yes, I am. And I used a bunch of, so I have used the only spice that I've used that is Indian is the Kashmiri chili powder. But then I used like a taco seasoning mix and some oregano and some Mexican cheese blend. I used red, yellow, and green peppers, some scallions or spring onions, and regular onions, garlic, and
you built it in this pan?
Yeah, I made it in this pan. I just had my pasta boiled, which already I have some pasta boiled over here, and everything else just goes in this one pan, and then we bake it for about 5 minutes. Since I'm using cooked pasta, I didn't bake it for a longer time. If you're using uncooked pasta, I doubt if you can use uncooked pasta in this dish.
I was going to say there's not enough liquid. Well, yeah. Show us how to make this. I love that we're in the kitchen with you. Jonathan, give me a one-shot tight on all this. I want to watch and learn.
So is this angle okay? Do you want me to angle?
It's perfect. Keep going.
All right. So I'm going to start off by adding some oil to the pan. And I have some chopped up garlic and onions, which we're going to saute. So I don't need it to caramelize or brown or anything. We just need it to be cooked a little bit so that it lends a good flavor. And I have already prepared my spices. Let me just tell you what they are so it's easy. I have 1 spoon of the Kashmiri chili powder that I'm talking about. It is available in Indian grocery stores. It is bright red in color. It is not very hot. It's not very spicy, or I mean, it doesn't lend a lot of heat, but it lends a beautiful, beautiful red color to the food. I'm using half a teaspoon of cumin powder and salt to taste.
When you talk about the Kashmiri chili, I'm so excited by this because there is a spectrum of heat, and some dishes call for a lot of heat.
Yes.
Some dishes just want the fullness and the richness of the base note and high note of heat.
Correct.
Talk a little bit about where Kashmiri pepper and chili are on the spectrum. Is it a high note of high heat? Is it a low note of base soft heat?
It's soft heat. It's low. It does lend a little bit of heat to it because you don't want it just for the color. I could be using food color if that's all I needed. So it adds a little bit of heat to the food. So on a scale of 0 to 10, it would probably be like a 3 to 4 on heat. But it has this beautiful, vibrant red color, which makes the food sort of pop. It looks very good, and you can adjust the quantity according to the heat you want. I usually don't like a lot of heat, so I use a little bit of it, and a little goes a long way in terms of blending color. But on a scale of 0 to 10, I think it would be a 3 or 4 in terms of the heat or spice level.
And where are you from in India originally?
I'm from Hyderabad, which is in the south of India. My family is Tamil, so my dad is from Chennai, which is another city in Tamil Nadu. But I was born and raised in Hyderabad, so I can speak Tamil and Telugu and Hindi and all of that.
But those are the places in India that are perhaps the most famous for the use of spices.
They are. So Hyderabad is known for its biryani. Hyderabadi biryani is very famous. I'm vegetarian, but the most popular is their chicken dum biryani. So dum is a method of cooking in a clay pot by sealing it using raw dough that you use for naan or bread. And then all the spices and the food sort of cook in their own steam. So that's the process called dum. And
with the spices that you're using today, you're putting them into an already heated up pan. That means to me that you're going to bloom the spices or coax out all of the flavor they have to offer us.
Absolutely. So in Indian cooking, what we do is, in fact, if I was making a dal right now, I would first add the oil or the fat or ghee and add the spices into the oil directly on a very low heat and allow it to sort of get fragrant without letting it burn. And after that is when I add my garlic or my onion or any of that. But today, since I was going for a more Mexican-inspired dish, I'm going to add the spices after my vegetables go in and let them cook down a little bit, and then throw it all in the oven.
And what really grabbed me about this recipe when you were describing it to us on the Clubhouse was how it's the perfect thing for a snowy weekend.
Oh, absolutely. We've been hit with this snow. I had to work yesterday during the storm, and I did a little story talking about how I'm very grateful that I work in healthcare and that I'm needed and I want to go into work and show up. But it was a little bit of a challenge getting to work yesterday from Jersey City. So I took the path during the storm and got to work, and it was great. But this is very comforting. You can eat a nice big bowl of this. I wouldn't call it healthy because we're still using pasta, but hey, you need the comfort when you're stuck at home in a snowstorm, right?
And I love that it's going to have all those warm flavors.
Absolutely. All right. So
one of the things that I love about Indian cuisine, if you've never cooked it or you've been reluctant to cook it, is that it's one of the great cuisines of the world.
Yes.
And it is one of the cuisines where you really can learn how to use all of your senses while you're cooking.
Oh, yes.
Because of the way that the spices will talk to you with their aromas, where the food will talk to you with their smells.
Yes.
To let you know that it's getting close to the right point. If you don't trust things like recipes, and all of us have to learn to cook with recipes and our five senses. Mm-hmm. You can't just use recipes. You have to use your eyes and your ears and your nose. That I want you to learn how to really hear with your sense of smell when you're cooking. And I think Indian cuisine is one of the greatest ways to develop that skill as a cook.
Yes, I agree. In fact, I don't follow recipes when I'm cooking. I just come up with it. But now since I started the page, I'm having to be very precise. And I say, because I just wing it. I throw a little bit of chili powder, a little bit of cumin, a little bit of that. And now I have to be okay, you need half a teaspoon of cumin powder. So I'm starting to get a little more precise.
But you've mastered all of the essential elements, like the great jazz musicians. You have to master the scales.
Yes.
You have to master all the elements. Then you can riff once you've mastered the basics.
Okay, I'm gonna throw in my the white portion of my scallions in there, and the 3 peppers. I'm using red, yellow, and green, and they just go in the pot. I'm saving.
Your mise en place is beautiful, by the way.
Sorry, what?
Your mise en place.
Thank you very much. I've become more organized in my cooking methods now, and that's very helpful, especially with portioning out. I mean, carefully talking about how much spice to use and all of that. So all of this literally only started after I started the food page in August, because earlier I used to be chopping up my onions because it was about fast cooking, right? And I used to meal prep for the whole week on Sunday. I make 1 or 2 curries. I make one, either a pasta dish or maybe like a quinoa or something. And then I'm prepped for 5 days because I used to work long hours of work. But now I'm more relaxed, and this is relatively more therapeutic, I guess. I love it. Okay, so we're going to let these peppers sort of sweat down, and I'm going to add my spices slowly. As I said earlier, we're using half a teaspoon of cumin powder, 1 teaspoon of the Kashmiri red chili powder. If you like more heat, you could just use cayenne pepper or regular chili powder, and a little bit of salt. I also am using 1 tablespoon of this taco seasoning. And I just throw it in there. That has a little bit of salt already, so please be mindful of how much.
It's what takes us all this. It takes this dish to the border.
Yes, but that's what lends the I think the Mexican flavor, because it's already prepackaged. I don't really have to think about what else to put in it.
You know, what I will also say is, as I'm watching you prepare this, one of the flavors in my mind that is completely underappreciated is Mexican oregano. Most of us get a European style or a Greek oregano or an Italian oregano, and that really reads pasta, and it reads, obviously, cuisine from those places. But Mexican oregano, redolent with the perfume of all that it's distinctively bringing to every dish, marries so brilliantly in almost every aspect of Mexican cuisine that it's really going to take that and brighten it up. Just so, if I were there too, I would send you some Mexican oregano.
I don't have any. I'm just using the McCormick regular oregano leaves.
I'm gonna have to figure out how to hook you up with some. We'll have to get you some. I'll send you some.
I'm just putting a little bit of a sprinkle of this, so I don't know if this lends a more Italian flavor or just whatever oregano I've tasted so far. This is what it is. So I'm just throwing a little bit of that in there. And now we add 1 teaspoon of tomato paste.
Oh, interesting.
So we need it to have some sort of, I think, tartness, sourness, whatever the tomato paste blend. And it gives it a nice color too. And the sauce is built up by adding the tomato paste. I'm using also.
Our friends at Great White Hot Sauce say it looks yummy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I wish I was more prepared. I'm not even wearing makeup right now. This is basically how I look at home. This is me in my pajamas cooking.
This is me at home. We're all at home. Everyone's at home.
Everyone's at home.
Our home is our test kitchen.
All right. I'm using 1 tablespoon of cream cheese.
Oh, interesting.
To lend some creaminess. I'm also going to add a little bit of whipping cream. So that's what makes it a little saucy. So cream cheese, it actually lends a beautiful flavor to it. I don't know.
The tang is great. Yeah.
So I'm using Philadelphia cream cheese. That's what I have right now. And I'm throwing that in there. Mixing it up. And a little bit of, we're almost there now. It's almost ready. It just needs to go, and some whipping cream just to make it a little saucy.
I love that, a little saucy. I'm still blown away by the crescent roll, open face empanadas.
Oh my God.
And samosas.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea just, you can run with that in 1,000 different culinary directions. And it's such a party food now.
Yes, it's so easy, especially for people that feel intimidated to make a samosa, because it's not an easy dish to make. You can make the stuff, make the filling. It's just like a fragrant potato filling, or you can make any filling you want. But the most
Food and Beverage Magazine publisher Michael Politz is watching, and he said this is amazing.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from him. Absolutely. So
you know he's going to be making this for his own little boy this weekend.
Oh, maybe, yeah. It's very easy, and I have my recipe up on my page. So tag me if you do Thai.
I love that.
And so if this feels a little too thick, and you want to sort of make it, as I said, a little more saucy, feel free to add a little bit of water, and then we can just throw in our pasta. Just adding a little bit of water. It looks...
And always reserve a little bit of pasta water no matter what you're cooking.
That's true, although I didn't today because I was completely thrown off by the sudden invitation.
Yes, but this is one of those help a lot of people this weekend.
Yes.
I can only imagine the thousands of people that are going to make this weekend.
Oh my God, that'll mean so much to me. And
it's as if you're in our kitchens with us.
And then I have some cooked pasta, which I'm going to throw in here.
And we should tell everybody we're doing this live. We're actually in your kitchen with you.
Yes, and it feels surreal. I never thought I would be doing this, and it's my third day on Clubhouse and third consecutive day on the Food and Beverage Magazine Clubhouse room, and I feel honored, actually.
One of the country's leading experts in hospitality arts and food safety, Jimmy Vigilante, host of his own remarkable podcast, just told us he's watching, and he says this is excellent.
Thank you so much. I never expected for it to have as much reach. All right, so now I'm just going to throw in, I have a big bag of mozzarella, which I got from Costco.
I recognize the bag. I think every mom recognizes that bag.
I used a Mexican 3-cheese blend for my original recipe and a little bit of mozzarella, but I ran out of my 3-cheese blend. So feel free to use whatever cheese you like. I could eat cheese just in a cup. Like I just love cheese. And I'm gonna throw a generous portion of cheese on top. And we're gonna pop this in the oven for 5 minutes at 350 degrees.
And when it's done, look what it looks like.
And when it's done, we're gonna top it off with some greens of the spring onions, or the scallions as we call it in America, and it's ready to be eaten. Okay.
One of our Facebook friends said that this is amazing.
Thank you.
So if you go to the finished version that you have on the stove there, I want to add something else. You know, in the Mexican culture, cuisine culture, there's a crema, a Mexican table crema. It's like sour cream that just has a kiss of sea salt in it. I could imagine that in lieu of where you might want to put a Reggiano Parmigiano if it were a more European style pasta, the creaminess and the tang could come from a crema.
I think that would be great. In fact, I was originally going to use some sour cream in this, but then since I didn't, it's all about playing with what you have in your kitchen, right?
Right,
so
right.
I had cream cheese, and I was like, maybe I could just throw in some cream cheese since I don't have sour, like a little bit of whipping cream. So this was just something it just randomly. I had peppers in my fridge. I have other things that I'm planning to do with the remaining peppers, and I'm planning to make a couple of other exciting dishes, actually.
And after what we learned last night, the one thing that's missing from that dish is, of course, mushrooms.
Oh, mushrooms. Yes, right. I was in the room until 12:30, and I was exhausted after a full day of work.
Wasn't that the most amazing, miraculous room?
It was incredible. I mean, I'm blown away. Like, Dennis has so much knowledge about mushrooms. I never thought that there was so much to it prior to now. I didn't grow up eating a lot of mushrooms because it wasn't cooked at my house in India. But after coming here, I'm definitely exposed to it. I don't know as many varieties as he does, obviously, but it's so fascinating and intriguing.
Will you take all of your skills and inspiration and go find some mushrooms? I'm going to say forage for mushrooms in the markets around you.
Yes,
we've got more Facebook friends chiming in saying it looks awesome. They said, I wish I was tasting this now. Somebody else is saying, I can only imagine how good this smells.
smells incredible. If you were in my kitchen right now.
This looks awesome. You're getting a great response from all of your Clubhouse friends.
Thank you. That makes me feel so good. I wish I was better prepared, but I think I'm doing the best I can.
But this is the beauty of it. You and I, this is as real and authentic as we can possibly be.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this us.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe one time I could come on here and cook something very traditional South Indian to sort of showcase my roots and come up with.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, isn't biryani one of the things that comes from the region that you're from?
Biryani comes from Hyderabad, has a little bit of an influence in Western India also. So it is from a Mughal empire. We were colonized by a lot of Mughal emperors, and those are the people that brought biryani to India, and then it's very fragrant and spicy. The variation of biryani made in Lucknow and the biryani made in Hyderabad, there's stark differences in the way they're cooked and the meats that are used, or even if you make a vegetarian version, there's some differences in the way they're cooked. But I'm familiar with the Hyderabadi version there, and
well, I hope you'll consider doing Anjhanaa's cooking school for us regularly. This was wonderful.
Thank you.
I would love to learn how to make the biryani. Mark Shannon said, my wife makes a version of this as well. It's so good. Great job.
Thank you.
And the cameraman wants some too.
Thank you. I wish I could serve you guys soon. It's almost ready. The cheese is melting.
And everyone is saying, yes, please. I can't wait to learn how to make traditional Indian food with an exclamation point.
Lovely. Because the reason why I didn't say I would make biryani is because there are multiple tutorials to make biryani online. But despite being Hyderabad is in the south of it, more south central, there's traditional Indian Tamil food and Telugu food that from regions in the south that don't showcase, that people don't know. So our view of Indian food in America is probably biryani, chicken tikka masala. It's what we got from like the UK or Scotland or vindaloo. And ironically, when I friends were like, "Oh, do you make vindaloo often?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. Because it's not something we make in India. It's sort of a westernized, or more adapted Indian food that's made over here." So
it's kind of, in a way, we have amalgamated foods. And one of the great ones is Tex-Mex, where it sort of mashes and aligns up two cuisines. What would you call this sort of East-West version of North American true Indian cuisine coming together? And Mark Shannon says vindaloo with an exclamation point, which sounds like a please to me.
All right, so this is the final.
Oh, wow, that looks good.
Product. I'm just going to, since I have to remember that the handle is hot. I've done this before. I've held it with my hand.
Oh, I do that all the time.
So I'm just topping it with some greens from the scallions. You can also, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. A lot of people in America don't like coriander leaves or cilantro. I have friends who tell me it tastes like Dawn soap, which I don't agree with, but that's what I grew up eating.
We've had a show about that where we talk about someone being a non-taster, taster, and a super taster because of the biology and physiology of the palate and the tongue and the taste buds. And some people do taste it that way.
So I'm using a little bit of coriander leaves. Omit it if you do not like it. And I think we're ready. If you need this is the close-up.
That's beautiful.
And you can just take it in a little plate and start eating it.
And if you felt like you wanted to have a little something else with it, maybe a little portion of beans.
A little portion of beans. I was considering adding beans to this for some protein. I was also, ironically, considering adding some crumbled paneer. Paneer has a lot of protein. Instead of, or if you wanted to make it a meat version, you could use ground turkey or ground beef to make it heartier, like the sauce, and then add the pasta and the same spices. Well.
The inaugural edition of Anjhanaa's Cooking School here on Food and Beverage Magazine Live via the Clubhouse. I cannot thank you enough. I am so excited.
Thank you.
I would like to eat that right this second, but isn't that what this whole exercise is about, is looking at the things, how we get connected by food and inspired by one another. I cannot thank you sufficiently.
Thank you so much
for inspiring us.
That I got her today and I got to feature something that I just made. I'm not even sure if it's something new. I didn't come up with it. It's just something that flowed from within. And I enjoyed cooking alongside all of you. And Jennifer, I want to thank you again for this opportunity.
Can I just tell you that idea that it flowed from within
Sorry, what?
is the concept of the generational cooking of our subconscious and our DNA, that our cooking has in its DNA all of our ancestral food experiences. And I truly believe that. And thank you for sharing yours with us.
Thank you so much.
Whether you are thinking about becoming a restaurateur or you are already in the business, Michael Politz has written a must-read, The Food and Beverage Magazine's Guide to Restaurant Success. Pick up your copy today at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, or wherever fine books are sold.
Need a push getting your spirits, wine, or beverage brand into the hands of consumers? Interested in winning medals like a double gold award? Proof Awards 2020, the ultimate beverage competition, can help jumpstart your brand into the hands of beverage buyers. Enter the Proof Awards. Be a part of the Proof Awards marketing campaign with our partner, Food and Beverage Magazine. All of our judges are buyers, and that's what sets our awards program apart from the others. Our judges head the beverage programs for restaurants, bars, nightclubs, casinos, liquor stores, big box retail, and national wine and spirits distributors. Your brand will be tasted by buyers from more than 15 states across the U.S. We have hundreds of categories to choose from at www.proofawards.com. Be seen by 12 million readers with our partner, Food and Beverage Magazine. Get tasted and rated by buyers. The 2020 Proof Awards competition is open for spirits, wine, and beverage brands today. Proof Awards 2020, moving brands into the marketplace. www.proofawards.com.